That was the sound that I followed through the rainforest for over 2 months, in a rainforest literally 30 minutes from here. And that is the song of a wild, white-handed gibbon, otherwise known as a lar gibbon. And I was trying to track and film this particular one. Gibbons live high up in the trees, and they rarely ever come down to the forest floor. So the only way that I could track this gibbon was to listen for his song and hope for the best. This is Solo, and he is the main star of one of my first ever wildlife films. My career as a wildlife filmmaker has brought me to some amazing places, from the mountains of Peru to the jungles of Borneo. But it also comes with traveling with a lot of equipment and carrying that equipment then through the jungle and also driving through some of the worst roads that I've ever seen. This is me crawling through a cave in the northernmost tip of Malaysia, in Wang Kalian Perlis. And these caves are so narrow that sometimes we had to lie on our backs, as you can see, and do a little shuffle side to side, and even dig the sand beneath us so that we could get through to the other side. We were trying to document all the wildlife that live in these cave ecosystems. And here are some of the things that we found. All sorts of creepy crawlies, spiders, snakes, toads, bats, and my personal favorite, the brush-tailed Asiatic porcupine. Who knew a porcupine would be deep in a cave system somewhere? So you may be wondering, why on earth would anybody subject themselves to something like that? Well, it all starts in Sabah, Borneo, my home, and in particular, on one journey that I had along the Kinabatangan River. Now picture this. You're on a river going through at sunset and sunrise, and you see orangutans, proboscis monkeys all next to you, pygmy elephants crossing the river. How amazing is that? And 13-year-old me was in awe and wonder. But this wonder was short-lived, because I realized that the rows and rows of palm oil trees that we saw along the road on the drive there were actually causing the destruction of the rainforest. And it was at this moment that I realized that caring and preserving for the natural world is really truly part of my core value. When I was 16 years old, I went to a career fair and spoke to the person behind the booth. And I said, I want to study zoology in school, which is the study of animals, and I want to work in conservation. And they said, no, don't do that. That doesn't work in Malaysia. Thanks. And you know what? They were partially right, because all the people that I looked up to, my idols, were all based in Africa or in the West. And here's the truth about doing an unconventional career path. It comes not only does society look at it differently, but it also comes with self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and constantly wondering whether you're doing the right thing. And not to mention, there's always that one family member, there's always one that will ask you, when are you going to get a real job? And it can be tough financially as well. As a freelancer, you don't actually know when or where your next paycheck will come from. And it can be tough emotionally too. I've had months where I've been so busy that I haven't had time to prioritize family and friends. And I've also had months where there's literally been no work coming in at all. And watching your peers go through stable career progressions, saving up for a house, starting their families, make you question it all the more. Having said all that, there have been certain experiences in my life that have reaffirmed my choice to pursue this career and tell stories about the natural world. Remember Solo at the beginning? Well, this is where Solo lives, literally 30 minutes from here. As you can see, it's a small patch of forest cut off by highways and roads, and Solo is the last gibbon that lives in this forest. Gibbons live in small family units just like us humans. Normally it's a mother, father, and a couple of children. But Solo is alone. And when I was following Solo, listening out for his call and his song, he was calling out for a partner that will never hear him. My work with animals has also taught me that we as humans are inseparable from the natural world. We are part of nature. This is Wak Jud on the top, Wak Sipa and Kacha, 3 indigenous women part of the Semai tribe in Pahang, otherwise known as Orang Asli here in Malaysia. And these people have a really deep relationship and connection with the natural world. And I don't say this figuratively. Their lives depend on the rainforest and the river. They plant their crops in the rainforest. They get the materials for everyday life in the rainforest. The rivers are the place where they bathe, where they socialize, where they get their food in terms of fish. And what surprised me the most was how their cultures and beliefs for thousands of years have been based around respecting and protecting the natural world. They even have sacred sites, especially for them, where they're not allowed to cut down trees, they're not allowed to take things, and the water there can be used to heal people. I was lucky enough to film with them last year, and what reached me deeply was one of their rituals, a sacred ritual that they perform in complete darkness to call upon the forest spirits for healing purposes. And here's what it sounds like. Amazing. When I was there, literally goosebumps. It just felt so surreal and so magical, knowing that all the materials that they get and what this whole thing is for is based around nature. Again, this is the same Semai tribe that I worked with, and as you can see, they are in the river, bathing. It's clean, it's fresh. We want to jump in. I would love to jump in right now. But I just got a text message last week from one of the community members that this is what the river looks like now. A hydro dam has been built upstream of where they live, literally right next to their sacred site. And because of that, the water, the sediment in the river has been disturbed, and now their water is polluted. And I know you may think that stories like this are sad and may make you feel full of despair, but this is my fuel. And I've also been fortunate enough to listen to a lot of people giving stories of hope. Just 2 days ago, I was with a different ethnic group in Sarawak. This is the Kenyah people of Longmore. And this took me 10 hours to drive from Miri over some logging roads to get to where they are. And similar to the Semai tribe, they have a very strong connection to the natural world, to the rivers, to the rainforest. And what interested me is how they express themselves through music and through dance, largely based on nature. This is Suwok, and he's playing a traditional Sarawakian instrument called the sape. How beautiful is that? I was so fortunate to have listened to him play 3 songs just 3 days ago. And what surprised me about this community is that they are actively fighting to protect their land and the rainforest that they live in. They have staged blockades for years against one of the largest logging companies in Sarawak. And they are currently working with 31 other indigenous communities and 4 NGOs to protect an area of forest 3 times the size of Singapore, called the Baram Peace Park. And it's stories like this, whenever I feel a sense of doubt, what am I doing with my life? Questions start popping up. It's songs like Solos, it's the indigenous people fighting to protect their land, and the music that they play that represents such a rich history in their relationship with the natural world. That reminds me that I am on the right path. So many of us go through the motions in life, and we rarely ever take the time to stop, pause, and reflect. And that doesn't mean you have to find all the answers in life. We'll never find all the answers. But sometimes just listening and observing the things around us, you find out what's important to you. We have to ask ourselves, what are my values? And am I living in alignment with those values? If you can ever answer yes to that question, then there is nothing more to long for in life. That is life. You don't have to change the world, but living in alignment with your values will change yours. Thank you.